Hello, and thank you for watching Peak Parental Performance, brought to you by United Football Academy in Cumming, Georgia. This is the fourth of 6 presentations. It was originally presented to a group of parents on October 26th at the Fowler Park Community Room, and then also down at Valdosta State University on November the 2nd to a group of parents from the South Georgia branch of United Football Academy. This presentation is going to be focused on what it means to be a peak parent and being able to keep up with the player training. United Football Academy has a top-notch coaching staff able to help your player attain the highest level of play, including the Developmental Academy through the USSF, Region Play, as well as the National League. When we talk about modern training, we talk about the advancement in what we as coaches do with your players on the field. Understand that the training of players is far superior than even the training of game officials, so referees have a difficult time keeping up with what's going on in the game. We have a number of parents who have played the game, but the majority don't understand the rules or current tactics. Understanding why a shot or a pass doesn't hit the target. Understanding how to identify technical breakdowns, and understanding why that ball didn't go where it should have gone. We know players are starting younger, they're training more, and they're starting to specialize at an earlier age. And even at the youngest ages, there are more tactics involved. Some are simple, and some get a little more sophisticated. Depends on the club, the coach, and the player's ability. Modeling of soccer behavior. Where do players learn their behavior? Understand that young players are impressionable and they pick up their ideas from those around them at the fields as well as away from the fields. Coaches have to be aware of their impact and how they play a role in shaping the player. So coaches shape players, parents shape players, TV, media, social media, and their peers will also have an impact. From a soccer standpoint, we need to weigh the impact and understand what is good and what we should not expose them to at too young of an age. There are a lot of reasons why a player or a team may not perform well. We can talk about some built-in excuses, sort of the default excuses. And we need to understand that players must take responsibility for their performance and not look to place blame on others. So from a parental perspective, we will need your help in making sure that you reinforce the right way for players to take responsibility. We don't want to blame the referees and say that the referee cost us the game. In most cases, if your team is performing well and you're creating scoring opportunities, but we're just not finishing that day, and the other team ends up nicking us for a goal, we can't blame the referee in a situation like that, even if there was a couple of bad calls, as long as we realize we created the opportunities, but we just didn't finish. When we start complaining during the games from the sidelines, telling players that it's not their fault that the referee made a mistake, then we're actually letting players know that they're no longer responsible for the outcome, because we can always point the finger at the referee for making a bad call. If coaches tell players that it was the official's fault and the parents blame the referee for a loss, then the player will never learn to take responsibility for their performance. So while we understand that the referee has an impact, we don't want to use that as a reason why we either win or don't win. So some of the other built-in excuses might be the coach doesn't care about winning, which of course we know is never the case. We're all competitive, we all want to win, but we want to win in the right way. We want to win by teaching the players how to play correct, not just lumping the ball forward to the fast player on top, scoring goals, and thinking that we are a competitive team. Sometimes the coach will make us play from the back, or our style of play may be to try to keep the ball moving in a possession style. And at the younger ages, that will, of course, create more potential mistakes closer to our goal and make us a little bit more vulnerable. But as the players grow, they become accustomed to playing out of the back, and it's not really a challenge as they get a little bit older. But if we never start that, then they'll never learn how to play out of the back. We could talk about field conditions. It was too big, it was too small, the surface was bad, it was a morning game, it was an evening game. There are a lot of excuses that we can point to, but the reality is when the whistle blows, the other team is playing at the same time, on the same field, under the same conditions, with the same referee, and we have to make sure that the players understand it is their responsibility to do the best they can and perform and not find excuses. Talking a little bit more about referees, do they change their calls? I think we know the answer to that. They rarely change their call. They can make a call and then realize that they've made a mistake, but they typically aren't going to make a call and then listen to parents scream and yell and then change that call. Unless, of course, it's a younger referee who can be influenced by coaches or parents. And when that starts, when does it actually stop? Do we really want parents on the sideline influencing the referee's decisions, understanding that young referees can be nervous, and of course they can be intimidated by parents? I've asked certain referees after games if they make more calls against a team that has been complaining with loud, obnoxious parents or a loud, obnoxious coach challenging every call. And the answer is yes, some referees will make it more difficult on the team that complains the most. So it's better to just relax and enjoy it and not get wound up on the referee calls, understanding that they are learning, they are young, they're going to make mistakes, they don't get the same training as our players do, and unfortunately they're going to be a little bit behind from a learning perspective. If we abuse them, then they will leave, and we'll always have a new referee. And when we start running out of new referees, we won't have referees, and if we don't have referees, we won't have a game. Please don't try to influence calls, yelling offside, or that's a foul, or the ball crossed the line. Let the referees and the players sort it out without the influence of the parents. Some expectations that we will have are that my player will enjoy the experience. You want them to enjoy it and have fun. You want them to be engaged, and that is how they're going to be able to explore a little bit, experiment, make mistakes, learn, and then grow as a player. You want your player to gain new skills or improve their current skills. You want your player to understand their position and the responsibility of that position. And you want your player to know more than one position, to learn different positions. You're looking for your player to move up if they're not already on the first team. And those are very real expectations, and they all have challenges within them, and they're all part of learning. We talk about peak parental behavior at training. Please don't be a distraction and hang out within view of your player. In order to enjoy the experience, players really need to know that the coach is in charge, and the players need to be checking themselves and their teammates and asking the coach if they're doing things right versus always looking over for the parents' approval. I think it's great that the players carry their own bags and their own equipment versus having mom and dad tote things over for them. These players all need to take responsibility, and it's a good place to start is that the players are responsible for their ball, for their boots, for their shin guards, and also to make sure that they're wearing the correct training equipment. You can find something to do at the fields. You can go for a walk, you can ride a bike, you can read a book, you can get a little bit of work done. Just please try not to hover over the fields and watch every moment of every training session. Please be on time to pick your player up, especially if we have some potential weather in the area that could cause cancellations. It's very, very tough on players when they're asked to just stand around and wait for their parents to come back and pick them up. When is an appropriate time to talk to your coach? Specifically, if you have questions about training, understand that your coach may be going from one field to another, and it's important that you understand that he may not be able or she may not be able to talk to you at that time. So sending an email, asking them when an appropriate time is, sending them a text message if you have their phone number, and then setting a time where you guys can actually sit down in an environment that allows you to freely discuss it. Additionally, your peak parental behavior is going to spill over into games. Please have your player at the field on time. Help limit their stress. Remember that it's not about the parent or the coach, but it's about the player. Pre-game talks are only going to wind your player up that much more. Just make sure that they are going to give 100% and ask them to talk to their teammates and communicate during the game. Do not coach from the sideline. Don't tell them what to do. Don't tell them to run. Don't tell them to kick. Just let them figure it out with the help of the coach. Don't engage the referee. Don't yell at the referee. Understand that they will make mistakes. And please don't talk about other players on our team or theirs in a negative way. Please stay positive. It's a fun game if the parents and the coaches keep it that way. Let the players enjoy it. And if you don't have anything nice to say, it's better to say nothing at all. So what's most important? Telling your player that you really enjoyed watching them and you love them. Game debriefs are not what players are looking for. If they open the conversation up and ask for some feedback, that's fantastic, but don't start drilling your kid on all the things that they should have done better and the goal that they missed and the pass that was off target. They don't need a recap of all their mistakes. We all make mistakes, and players make tons of them during the game. It's expected. That's how they learn. So again, if the player initiates a conversation, it's okay to discuss, but if they don't want to talk about it, just leave it at the field and move on. Things to avoid. Please don't pay your player for scoring goals. You replace the intrinsic fun reasons why they do things with an extrinsic motivation that is now kind of a pay-to-play, and that is going to take the enjoyment out of the game, and it's going to take the focus off of them wanting to become better because all they want to do is whatever it takes to get that reward. Making negative comments about the team, the players, or the coach in front of the players. We hear sometimes players will say something, and you know it had to have come from the parents because it's just not possible that they would have come up with that particular comment. So please, if you're going to talk about it, don't talk about it in front of your player. Making statements like, we pay a lot of money for you to play soccer and we expect more out of you is not a fair statement to make to a young child. Being mad or upset with the result or the performance of your player is not acceptable. Some extras that we want to be thinking about as well is making sure our players get enough sleep, giving them recovery opportunities and some time off now and then. Making sure that they're eating healthy. Nutrition is very, very key. If they're not eating healthy, they're not going to be able to perform at their peak. Making sure that they're hydrating. That means a lot of water. Energy drinks would be after games. Water them down. They don't need Red Bull before games. They don't need to get all pumped up before games. They need our emotional support. So let's make sure that we keep them focused on enjoying it and having a lot of fun. So, questions. Was this helpful? What would be your key takeaway? Would you please take time to do the online survey? We do have 2 more classes that will be coming up. As I said earlier, this is the 4th of 6. They're all pretty quick. They're all about 10, 15 minutes at the most because it's on a YouTube video. We'll have all the presentations up soon. We'll have a pre-survey and a post-survey for you to take. Thanks again. This was presented by United Football Academy in Cumming, Georgia. UnitedFA.org is our website. My name is Don Schultz. You can reach me at don@unitedfa.org. Send any questions or comments. I would really appreciate your feedback. And again, please take the survey before you do all of the modules. And if you would do a final one at the end, we'll have that up after all 6 are popped up on the YouTube. Thanks again. Have a great day.